old devil come to him to field one day, slaying one of your family. I'm gonna take away, slaying fire. Diddle-I, diddle-I, fire. Diddle-I, diddle-I, day.
Cool. All right. So, in the rapidly dimming light, the silhouette of this giant creature who's been apparently disturbed by your activities is looming up over the edge of this valley, about 8 or 9 kilometers away, as you continue to speed to the north through this dense grave field that you're in at the moment. Let's see. Yeah, I think. Maybe, sorry, I can't remember if I asked this before. Is your plan just to keep on steaming straight ahead, or are you doing anything else?
I thought we were going to shoot this thing, right? Or are we not going to shoot it because it's breathing? Or is this like...
I think we want to stop it from catching up with us, because even just getting near us is going to basically destroy the vehicle.
Yeah,
possibly, if it's still running. It's so heavy. Yeah. Move and shoot. Yes? No?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Are we gonna top speed shooting with the turrets?
Sorry, I was eating a sandwich. Yes, top speed all the way.
Right.
Okay, so driving away from it while shooting it?
Yes, and eating a sandwich.
I still think we should try some distraction techniques. So even I think Ox, you can also do illusions, no?
You want me to make a giant raspberry appear?
Or maybe like our car or something going somewhere else.
Well, what does this thing look like it eats? We've got a picture of it, haven't we?
I think I have to make
thing
it
that looks
immediate
like it
range
eats
for
whatever it
illusions to
wants.
work, so I can't make it move very far away.
I see.
It looks like it... Jeez, I don't know what it'll eat.
Us.
Everything.
It's got a giant skull face. It's got lots of teeth. And it's made of gravestones.
So, Chinese?
A giant tub of Chinese food, maybe.
Yeah. General.
All right. Do you use your illusion abilities to conjure up a giant tub of Chinese?
I don't think it'll. I mean, it wants vengeance, right? It is not going to be swayed by.
Yeah, I think it's mostly angry. This one's not. The other one was kind of being whimsical. This one's mad at something.
How about we illusion up some gravestones, to replace the ones that we're
I think
driving?
it'll-
Interesting.
They might not notice unless we make them really big.
Could we?
Ooh. What if we make another one of them, and it can get territorial and try to fight it?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So can we make an illusion that big?
What
My
if you
illusions can be.
combine the illusionary powers of these
Let me tell you
illusions?
how big my illusions can be.
Can we make a really attractive one?
30-meter cube. I think this thing's bigger than 30 meters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 2 kilometers long, right?
Yeah.
So.
30 meters.
Yikes.
Roll.
So you can make something that is about snack size for this thing. But I think this is the kind of situation where I don't want to restrict your abilities too much. I think the kind of figures that it gives there would probably cover like a normal use. But I'm thinking if you really put your mind to it and basically increase the difficulty level by a bit.
Yeah, I can also mind fuse as Erasmus. Put our fingers together.
Yeah, exactly. Especially
Like the Dragon Ball Z dance.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be. It's not like a fully detailed, ultra realistic scene or anything. You just need to make basically a kind of figure of this wolf, although it has to be as convincing as possible. So, yeah, I'm going to say it sounds like a good opportunity for, I think, Erasmus and Zion to. In fact, maybe it's just a case of Erasmus. You're going to use your magicianal authority and stuff. Oh,
What if?
Noise from Bean.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Down my
basically.
nose.
I think the first thing I'm gonna... So, as I say, it sounds like a combination where Erasmus could somehow boost the power of Zion and make him able to cast a much bigger illusion, basically by kind of convincing him that he can. And, yeah, do you have any ideas for maybe any little ritual or something that you would do to achieve that?
So I could mind read him and then tell him exactly what. So I can do a surface mind read and then continue telling him that you can make something much bigger than what you think you can make.
Yeah.
Until I'm satisfied with it.
Cool. Yeah,
Give
like
a rousing speech. Like
Yeah.
I would also accept the Dragon Ball fusion dance, but cool. Okay, so let's have Erasmus first roll a difficulty 3, I think, to basically influence Zion in such a way as to effectively boost his powers.
Release my mental blocks.
Unleash my full potential.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, you are roundly successful in performing a little routine and ritual to seemingly greatly boost the power of Zion Wisp, and because of the nature of your arts, it basically becomes so in the sense that Zion believes he can do it. And finds himself possibly able to. So Zion, give me a intellect roll difficulty. I'm going to say 5 because you have to make an illusion that is sufficiently, convincing to draw the attention of this thing.
Yes.
Ta-da!
Nice. Okay, so so you channel your illusory magics and techniques and fiddle with things beneath your robe until a rival, as it how are you presenting this other creature? Like, for a start, does it look basically exactly the same, or can different somehow?
Let's have a look at this guy's picture. So, I think it's going to look like this creature, but this creature seems to have a little red elements to it, and this one will have more blue, like where there's, basically like an inverted color scheme. Like what's red is blue, and what's black is white, and what's white is black. So it's like a negative, basically, of the creature appears.
Yeah, interesting.
I have it do the similar howl that I saw it do, like make at least the sound of it. It does include sound, the illusion, so I can make it.
Yeah, nice. Okay, I like it. And where are you going to conjure this thing up?
Let's see, hang on, I need to move away these character sheets. I think more like here, so that a path towards it would lead away from our vehicle, like this.
Okay.
This location, but close enough to the gravestones, maybe to seem. Yeah, close enough to the gravestones. I'm too far away from those, I think.
How far away can you make it from us?
I'm going to say under these circumstances, you can basically make it, within the range of this kind of map picture type stuff. So you can definitely make it within that position.
5 kilometers, that seems like decent. I'll put it there.
Yeah, I think so.
Would it make sense to put it, say, a bit further away from us, like to the west a bit, so that it has
The
to
thing is, I don't know if
further
it'll
to get
have
to it?
interest in it, if it's like...
Oh, no.
I mean, I don't want it to get to it too fast and discover that's an illusion. Like,
Yeah.
the moment he'll hit it, he'll realize that, he passes through it.
Yeah, but then if it's too far away, he might just ignore it and go after us still.
Exactly. So I think, like, a place like here, like, maybe he'll charge through it, and overshoot and, like, run through it, or whatever.
Oh, where's that valley? It wasn't a 1 or 2 kilometer gap, was it? This is when you need a nice hole to position the anti-illusion thing in front of.
Start digging.
Well, the valley is anywhere from 1 kilometer to like 5 kilometers across.
But it just climbed out of it, didn't it? So it
it's definitely big enough to do that.
Yeah. Oh well.
Okay, and how is this illusion that you've created kind of acting? Is it being like kind of territorial and aggressive, or?
Oh yeah, so it does the howl, and it kind of squares off against the other creature. I think kind of does a kind of a threat display kind of thing. Makes itself as big as possible.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, basically. But it doesn't move. Like, this is very important. It doesn't move towards it because I want to buy as much time as possible, so it stays in one place for as long as possible.
Oops.
Whoa.
All right, I was trying to see if I could flip this right, but apparently not.
Should one of us get on the gun just in case? Not to fire immediately, but to fire if firing becomes necessary, if it doesn't take the bait.
Seems sensible.
Anyone?
I think we said I was the best at shooting, probably, right? So I can get up in the gun turret, sit there, cast this from the gun turret, and I can keep an eye on it as well through the scopes or whatever.
Cool. All right, you thump yourself down into the gunner seat at the top of the connery tower, and the safety harness clamps itself down over you like a roller coaster, and like a targeting mechanism kind of flips down over your eyes so that you can scan the area around you. The targeting mechanism is quite primitive. It basically just has a marked kind of targeting reticule type thing in the middle of the display. And in terms of compensating for like lead and relative speeds and stuff like that, you just kind of basically have to eyeball it. But that is something that you are quite good at. Okay, so I presume that during this time you're basically just you keep your vehicle moving forward to the north, trying to get away from this kind of scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so let's say you move about that far, and as this other creature kind of emerges, the real creature seems rather surprised at first. It certainly turns its attention towards this new arrival and makes something of a threat display. It's kind of huge, hackly plate type things kind of rise up, and in general it kind of becomes bigger basically and more kind of fearsome looking. I presume your illusion, you kind of try and manipulate it to put on the same kind of display in action and kind of face off against it basically. The real one lets out a fearsome roar that kind of instantly flattens all of the grass and plants and stuff in the whole area ahead of it, and kind of sends boulders and rocks flying and scattering. And it mantles its way up over the top of the kind of valley, and pretty much starts sprinting or charging its way across the open ground towards this opposing vision that you have conjured up. For now, it seems to have drawn its attention away from you. I guess unless you say otherwise, I'm just going to keep pushing you north.
Okay.
So you managed.
Fine with me.
Go down to to station, given everything you've got. Let's get as much distance as we can.
Says with pleasure, and stamps his foot down on the gas pedal as the car accelerates.
Could we also use? Do we have something like not invisibility spell, but like something to sort of camouflage us?
Yeah. Do you have any means to kind of camouflage your vehicle? I'd say, I'm going to say, so Zion, you kind of have to concentrate on maintaining this large illusion that you've done. But I'd say, Erasmus, if you're able to take steps to kind of disguise your vehicle, you can have a go at that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to create a major illusion, like a matte painting behind the car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe with a bit of like a winding road and some handsome unicorn walking past.
So you're from the perspective of the creature down to your south, as your vehicle becomes hidden behind this, basically kind of screen. The vehicle that is speeding its way through its territory kind of melts away and is replaced by a road that wasn't there before, kind of leading pastillically into the distance with some strange horn horse creatures wandering around on it. Okay, it doesn't pay too much. I mean, its attention continues to be drawn away now even further from yourselves, and it's concentrating on this illusion. It basically faces off against your one, Zion, and it kind of puts its chest down to the ground and it's not strictly dog-shaped per se, but it is kind of quadrupedal, kind of feral kind of shape. And it, kind of bristles up its hackles and kind of lashes its tail. And it delves itself down against the ground and leaps forward with a parting impact that kind of shatters the ground beneath it and kind of and kicks up a huge cloud of smoke. It is leaping directly at the illusion. So Zion, on the illusion's behalf, if you make a speed roll, difficulty 5 to avoid it.
Could you Reaganomics it?
I'm gonna say this creature is beyond the reach of that particular art.
So do I use my
communist.
At least,
my stats and stuff for the illusion, like my speed and stuff, or my speed
sorry,
defense?
say again? Yeah, let's say you basically use your own stats.
Okay.
Ooh, all right. So the your creature kind of turns to face this one and tries to dodge out of the way. However, the real one kind of smashes into it and then ends up obviously smashing kind of through it, and it does stumble somewhat as it finds itself not meeting any solid contact and goes sprawling someone across the ground. It immediately kind of rolls and rewrites itself back up onto its feet and immediately turns its attention back in your direction. Because
so much for that.
because of the illusion that you've obscuring kind of camouflage illusion that you've erected behind yourselves, apparently out of pink horses, it is temporarily somewhat taken aback by that. So I'm going to say you're able to move up another unit. Let's see. Yeah, that'll do. Let's see. All right. So what it does, so not that. Actually, let's see. Okay, now that you're trying to continue to evade its sight, even as it turns its attention basically towards you, I don't know, somebody, Fan, or I guess anybody, give me a roll, speed roll, difficulty 4 to try and continue losing its track.
Yeah, why not? I'll roll. Wait, no.
Yeah, your mechanics
Difficulty
training.
4, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I have a thing open. There we go. Difficulty 4. Trained mechanics. Speed, you say?
Yes.
I'll put 1 point of effort in.
Cool.
Just to give maintenance, because obviously currently my Carmageddon face. Right.
Boy!
Oh, nice.
All right.
That's how you do it.
Let's see. Right, so you definitely get a unit closer to the safe zone, and let's see. I guess, well, okay, so as a major effect, you can either move another unit for free, or you can have some other effect. Let's say you can make it so that the beast basically kind of loses your location for at least a turn.
I think losing the location probably help us. If we could, I don't know, spin up a large cloud of dust behind us so we're obscured from his vision.
Yeah,
for
cool, that
a
makes
while.
sense. The rear jets that have sprung up into place on the back of your vehicle just blast out a long stream of propulsion, and it kicks up a huge cloud of dust. The creature can clearly see your general location, but it doesn't have a immediate doesn't have an immediate view. In fact, what it's going to do as its turn is it basically it's clearly enraged by this trick that you've kind of pulled on it, and by at least temporarily losing its prey. What it does is it leaps forwards into the kind of graveyard type area, basically, and it slouches its way along the ground, basically drawing in a huge number of these kind of graves and monuments and other debris and things that are around there. At the same time, basically kind of I don't know, you might say gills or kind of cracks or openings along its body are opening up and glowing with an energetic light that appears somewhat dangerous as it faces its way towards you. Basically kind of stamps its huge feet into the ground, sending up huge clouds of smoke, and turns its gaze directly in the direction of the cloud of smoke that you've put up. Its jaws hang open and they start to overflow and drip with a kind of boiling, bubbling, kind of neon kind of liquid that is practically kind of vomiting out of its mouth and kind of running down its jaws as it draws in kind of its lungs or the equivalent of them in an aggressive gesture. Do you take any immediate action?
If it can work out that we're heading in a fairly straight line, maybe we should veer off that straight line somewhat.
But that means moving away from where we want to go.
Zigzag maneuvers.
That doesn't sound right.
Not moving away from where we want to go, just getting off. We've been heading in a dead straight line. Maybe just veering off a couple of degrees.
Is
if something is about to be shot at us, perhaps.
Do the zigzag, man.
Is the blue square the place that we're heading to? Is that where the temple is?
Yeah, let's say it is.
And all the green is the green foresty
It's
area?
kind of foresty, shading into jungly terrain.
Okay, well, we're going to need to turn off at some point to go to, there. So, maybe turn so we're heading, that direction. Can you all see the arrow at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay, so turn like that, and then we maybe get to here, we can turn like that, and just make a slight zigzaggy thing. So we're heading in the right direction, but we're trying to dodge a blast. I'm hoping that won't slow us down too much.
If indeed a blast is what's coming, but
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not used to these giant, whatever they are.
All right, so it sounds.
Yeppies.
So which direction are you heading in, basically?
I like to. Can I rotate this?
Yeah, it's a little bit fiddly, but there's one dot kind of off to the side of it on the left side. If you grab that and swivel it around, you should.
No, I can't actually select it. No worries.
Yes.
I will zoom out a bit so I can see it. If I'd like to point it in that direction.
All right.
And just turn and twizzle to get in that direction as needed.
Cool.
If it starts doing anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's flip it over this way somewhat. At this stage, not only are you somewhat receding away from the illusion that you've been able to hold, and maybe this thing is even kind of tuning into it and seeing past it to an extent, plus simply the fact that you can't hide all of the kind of dust and debris that you're throwing around behind you. With all this, the creature who is crouched and potentially charging up in attack within the depths of this graveyard behind you seems to have a somewhat more accurate idea of your location. It's kind of back plates essentially, and it's kind of hackles, as it were, raise up even further, even kind of unfolding somewhat, a little bit like a kind of beetle's wings or something. And sure enough, you see a dark aura of energy beneath it, basically, rising up from the graveyard around it, and just kind of crackling into its body. In fact, it kind of occludes the light around it, such that it's almost it's kind of silhouetted behind this kind of black-gray monochrome kind of night-ish kind of aura that's kicking up behind it. And with that, a gigantic blast of energy surges across the open desert towards you. It's not moving straight as such. First of all, it's up and kind of curving towards you in a parabola, but it seems to kind of surge forwards under a force of its own that guides it kind of closer to you as it tries to get a more accurate glance at your location. So this giant energy blast is heading directly for your vehicle. I'm going to assume that whoever is taking control of the driving, well, let's say it's Fayan, is going to try and dodge.
Yes.
So
I get there much slower if I don't have a vehicle.
yeah. So given that, give me a let's see. Yeah, just give me a speed check, or you can use intellect, I guess. Difficulty 5.
Ooh. Right.
If anybody feels that they would be able to join in and help with this in some way, then speak up and we'll make a roll for that.
I could make a barrier ward. But
Could you?
Yeah.
yeah, I could do that.
Okay, so you're able to make one that would actually, physically have a blocking effect on this thing that was coming in.
Yeah, I can post the.
Awesome. All right.
text here.
I would very much like for Thomas to get out of the top hatch of the vehicle, even if it's careering along at probably 120 kilometers an hour at this stage as he put the boost on, and just the wind like baffling his cloak and his stuff behind him, but obviously his hat staying perfectly on and his waxed moustache staying perfectly trim as he casts out his arms towards this thing and casts this barrier spell.
I'm going to go and just, be ready to catch him should the need arise.
Ooh, it's opaque as well. So, it's not that big. Okay, I was thinking we might be able to hide behind it, but...
Okay, yeah, I'd say it's... all right, so let's say Erasmus is casting his Hocus Pocus and his Jiggery Pokery to get that ready. But in the meantime... Oh, sorry. So, Fayan, did you just roll for that evasion, basically?
No, that 20 is from my previous roll.
Okay, all right. All right, so if you roll for that, and let's say it is I think we said it's difficulty 5.
Yes.
Your mechanics would count. Any other abilities or anything that seem like they might apply?
Trying to think if I've got anything here. Take advantage. Nope. No, I don't think I've got anything here.
All right.
Has Mr. Erasmus just disconnected? Oh dear. Oh no, he's back.
And he's back.
Yeah. No, I have nothing else here that'll help me, so I'll just do the roll. I'm going to put 1 effort in because I can't really afford much more. And did you say?
Oh,
Stick with speed.
Sorry, you cut out, but it's speed, or I guess you could do intellect, and it's difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4.
Sorry, difficulty 5.
Okay. I'll use intellect, although I don't want to. I think I may have messed up with that jump earlier. Oh well.
Take more drugs.
I'll need them later. It's nice. There we go.
Sweet. Blair, sorry. Actually, remind me exactly what you were doing there.
Oh, I was just you asked me to make a roll because I'm trying to turn to the side and dodge out the way of this energy blast. No idea how big it is, but...
Yeah, so kind of evasive drive. It is indeed big as it surges through or across the land towards you like a comet. You see this in your rearview mirror, and you perhaps give a manic grin as you stomp down on the accelerator and spin the wheel, and the vehicle kind of tilts and screeches as it drives a curving track through the desert, and you see this kind of energy blast basically slam across the area at just the far side of the area where you were in, but even with it somewhat missing and your evasive action, it still gives a considerable shake and jump to the vehicle. And in fact, it takes some damage.
Do we have stats for the Stationmobile anywhere?
Yeah, if you click on it, actually, I wonder if you can see.
I can only see the picture.
Oh, okay, hold on. There we go. Right, so the red one in the middle is the armor. The blue one is the fuel. Actually, I haven't been reducing that, but I think that's done.
I can't see these bars either.
If you click on the token?
Nope, can't select it. I don't know if anybody else can see it, but
no, I think
can't.
Unless it's not.
Oh, hold on.
No.
Right, try it now.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, wow, that's a lot of... which one's the armor, did you say?
Right, so the armor is the red one in the middle.
Okay.
So I think you've lost at this point 55 out of 150 that you got because of the upgraded armor. 38 is the fuel. You get one of those for each turn that you do, roughly. And 20 is the large cannon shots. Everything else basically has infinite ammo.
Okay.
Purposes. Cool. Okay, so you've definitely managed to maintain your distance from this beast so far.
Quite a beating.
Yes.
Should we return some fire?
Yeah, I'll, at this point, I think once it now it kind of knows where we are again, I think we're going to just take a shot at it, yeah?
Cool. All right, so I'm going to say this is a speed. It's going to be... let's say... okay, I think because this thing is stationary, and because you have all kinds of targeting and compensating mechanisms to help you aim and so forth as well, I'm going to say this is difficulty 4, and... I mean, you can certainly be trained. Do you have any? Are you specialized in anything that might kind of apply to this?
No, I don't think so. I only specialized in stealthy things.
Okay.
And things involving illusions, so that's not. Yeah.
Okay, but you can be trained.
Cool. Here we go. Clicking some boxes for good luck. Hey.
Nice, very nice. All right, so you, although fighting with this kind of weapon is rather unfamiliar to you, not to mention the fact that the vehicle itself is swinging and swerving and bumping over the landscape quite considerably, you have practiced enough with it at this point that you can actually use it. You bring the reticule up over the kind of wolf. You drag it to...
Stepping away for a minute.
Yep, no problem. You drag it to the side a bit so that, trying to eyeball the kind of lead and drift and things that you need to take into account. And you let her rip. Basically, the whole vehicle bucks and actually kind of jumps in the air because the big gun is at the top of the conning tower. It's firing sideways, so it's basically... like levering the vehicle over and forward so the front digs into the earth. It jumps up into the air, but Stason/Fayen is able to keep it stable enough that it slams back down onto its wheels and continues. A large visible tracer shell shoots over the distance between you towards the beast, and let's see. Yes, it successful slams into it and explodes with a fiery and colorful fireball that almost seems to rip a tear right the way through the body of this thing, although it seems to not quite react as a normal terrestrial creature would. It roars back at you and bears itself up, but it is semi-ripped open, although the form of it around that area seems to be kind of rippling and warping and starting to knit back together somewhat. Nonetheless, you have done some pretty serious damage with the main weapon of this tank. Okay, Erasmus, we'll stick you to kind of NPC status, and we will definitely queue up that barrier move for a good time if it happens. Nice playing for you, and we will see you next week. Okay, so getting back to this, you've just fired on this beast, and it now, from its low crouched down position, it basically starts to sprint its way forward at kind of maximum acceleration. And the whole landscape around it, and basically all of the graves and things that are around it, get thrown up and kind of exploded up into the air due to the sheer force that this thing exerts down onto the ground as it is sent flying upwards in a seemingly impossible sight of this gigantic creature simply flinging itself towards you in a pounce. It seems to be under the impression that it can cover this entire jump in this one pounce. as it starts its jump, you've managed to gain enough distance from it, plus there's all the dust and stuff behind you, that it's actually it's only barely visible as a silhouette in the distant fog kind of on the horizon. But as this huge explosion goes up around it, it kind of sails up into the atmosphere above you like a gigantic and very angry and tooth-filled cloud that is rapidly descending in your direction. So far, you don't actually hear any sound of the shockwave having reached you yet, and this thing is just silently floating through the sky in your direction. But you get the impression that it carries much more weight and violence that is going to be apparent when it gets to you.
Oh dear.
Does anybody have anything they want to do apart from general evasive driving and possibly returning fire?
Okay, is there any way... I've got this detonation variable. We might get lucky. It could be a really useful thing. It could also be a doomsday device. And
You've still got the singularity cipher, am I right?
That's,
who has that?
I think Zion has it, doesn't he?
No, I don't.
oh dear.
Oh.
Hang on, which one do I have? I've got the Mind Killer, but I don't think this is a very smart wolf. So
There was... Were we possibly thinking of a detonation one which we looked at all the different things? Could one of those have been the singularity?
Well, there's the variable one which might include the singularity effect. There's, but somebody had a level 10 singularity detonation.
Oh, right.
It's VOP, but I think we sort of put it in general on the mobile because he had to discard it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yep. So you totally have access to that. It is basically. It looks like 2 petrol generators mashed into the same space. With a very large and powerful ripcord that you have to activate on it. And you, let's see. Okay, you know what? You've been carrying this thing for a long time. Voparao has been tinkering and jiggering with it while trying not to set it off at the same time. What I'm going to say is it's going to count as an extremely powerful detonation, a level 10 one, but I'm going to say that it is going to be a level 5 to activate it, especially now that you've had this vehicle and you've had access to bigger tools and power sources and things like that. So if anybody wants to deploy that, you are able to...
in the gun?
I'm going to say... No, this isn't one that you can attach to an arrow or somehow rig up to the slug splitter.
Fair enough.
You're going to have to... Oh, although, let's see. I'm going to say if you want to make a roll, you can try to rig up one of the cannons on this vehicle to be able to launch this thing, basically. You construct kind of a sabot around it that will enable it to kind of fit into the shell and get blown outwards, assuming that it A, survives the event, and B, is not set off by the event.
That is true. We might want to make as few rolls as possible with something as dangerous.
I mean, Fayan could roll for this. He has apparently got mechanical skill. How do you feel about that, Fayan?
It would mean slowing down, I imagine, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily. What I would say is to rig up the cannon to be able to shoot this singularity detonation. I'm going to say that is a difficulty 4 action.
Okay.
But bear in mind, if you fail, something bad might happen.
Okay. But we don't need to slow down or get closer or anything for this. We can. It's just a case of what will Stacey?
No, you can do this while you're continuing to drive. In fact, Stacey has the actual wheel itself.
Yeah. What is it I'm actually doing if Stacey's driving? Am I just tinkering with the engine and
you're shouting at him very insistently, and
okay.
He's putting up with it.
Okay.
Something like that, or maybe like I figure this is a big enough vehicle. There's probably at least 2 pilot seats.
He's going to punch me when I'm done with this, isn't he? Okay. Well, I think I'm a bit worried this thing might actually do some serious damage to us.
Yeah.
So, okay, difficulty 4.
Yeah.
Mechanics. Is this an intellect-based one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to, because I'm going to take my very last dose of drugs. I'm going to buff up my
Just-
intellect by 4 points. I'm going to immediately
being-
spend those 4 points.
I think you've been carrying this around in like a pendant made out of a spent bullet casing, or rather a reassembled bullet on your neck, and you just take it, like twist off the bullet itself, and then just like snort the contents of the cartridge, something like that.
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah.
All right.
Be ridiculously over-enthusiastic about taking
Yeah.
this out as I put all the effort in.
This is a moment for the trailer.
Yeah, come on, let's take out this big dog thing. Yeah.
All right. So you have a tink around. You try and pull together some materials. Maybe you've had to do this in the past and some past shenanigan, and you're able to basically rig up one of the rocket launcher things. In fact, let's say. It looks kind of like an Acme rocket launcher because you've basically taken the rocket, you've attached it into the barrel using a kind of stem launcher type thing, and you've also tied on basically, or duct tape on maybe this this oversized like singularity engine type thing, and you just rigged this up and pointed it in the general direction of the wolf, which is. Let's say maybe this is something you just like do in a frenzied montage that takes you a couple of seconds, and by the time you're ready, the giant wolf is descending towards you from the heavens, and you can start to feel and hear the rumble of its, the just sheer wave of air pressure that it's pushing in front of it as it approaches you. Are you wanting to take a shot at it with this thing?
Is this a singularity thing specifically, or do you mean a shot at it with a cannon before we fire the singularity out?
You tell me.
I think the singularity is probably a better option.
Yeah.
Also, Thomas said something about a barrier. I don't know. He's left a comment. I don't know if he actually... That happened already.
Yeah, actually, I guess it's kind of moot because you were able to drive well enough to just about avoid the impact of it. So,
fair enough.
We'll keep that in his up his sleeve in case that comes into play.
I was thinking we may need to protect ourselves from a backlash if this singularity is as powerful as it. I hope it is. Anyway, all right. Let's blast it with singularity. Then I'm spending as much effort as I need. I'm reducing it to 0, but let's hope it's not a 1.
I mean, this is a very large target. Although, got some background noise.
Is that me?
No, it was a motorcycle driving.
Okay.
This is a very large target, although this is also a very makeshift weapon that you are firing at it. Not to mention the health and safety concerns. So
I feel like a report.
However, your pupils are tightly dilated, and your and your jaws are clenched with an inhuman intensity and a focus on your task. As maybe you're like experiencing some flashback to your military days when you had to try and, in that case, probably fail to hold off some impossibly horrible beastie. But in any case, you pull the trigger. The essentially rocket goes off and sprays you down with a blast of soot and coolant, and the rocket fizzes up into the sky like a rather weedy sounding firework. It goes up out of sight basically, but it's clearly going in the direction of this creature falling towards you. And let's see.
What does the singularity actually do? I don't think I've looked it up yet.
You will find out. So,
okay.
Let's see. Somebody, it doesn't necessarily have to be Fan, needs to make a difficulty 5 intellect roll to actually activate the singularity itself.
Somebody else? I'm running low on intellect.
I never had much intellect.
I'm going to lose half of what I have left when I come down to my drugs thing.
Hang on, let's see.
Yeah,
I still have half. I can do it. I'm trained in Numenera.
Yep, sounds good. So yeah, go ahead and be the one who tries to poke and prod and pull the ignition cord on this thing before it gets launched away.
Time for the total party kill. Here we go.
Not a 1.
Oh, thank God, that put too effort in.
Nice, right. So, well, you suddenly push and prod at some buttons, and it starts to go beep, 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 and you take that as good enough, and do that thing where you whack Fayen on top of the head to show that the shell is ready. So yes, this thing seems to be successfully armed as it flies up in the direction of this beastie. As a result, it basically. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, it missed.
No, the first one hit, and there's some secondary explosions that blossom out behind it. It's basically what you've pretty much done is blow a gigantic hole right the way through. Not just the center, but really almost all of this creature, basically ripping it into shreds that are they're kind of arranged around, and they kind of swirl around in a ring surrounding the path of this singularity as it blasted through it. Peculiarly, however, even that, in a sense, doesn't seem to have immediately killed it, as the remnants of it retain some remnants of their kind of form, their kind of coherent form. And the whole thing, although clearly disabled, slams down into a bedraggled mass onto the ground below you, and is very clearly out for the count. So at the least it's severely injured. It's difficult to say whether it might be able to regenerate itself in the same way that the other one did. But for now, I'm going to say it's disabled enough that, you're pretty much able to, put the boosters back on and surge your way away from it and into the more foresty area that you find way to your north. It's close enough that you can look out over the horizon. You can still see the slumped remains of it, and it's actually it's kind of boiling with heat. Like the the shimmer and the heat haze around it is gigantic and basically obscures any kind of real sight of what's kind of happening there. But certainly something seems to be. And in the meantime, you pull off to a relatively peaceful kind of clearing and everything. So I guess the question is, are you going to kind of stop here for any reason, maybe to rest up or anything like that, or kind of try and repair your vehicle, or are you going to continue moving in this now rougher and more difficult terrain?
One of those words that you said sounded kind of like stop, and that doesn't sound like a good word, because that means it takes longer to get to the green things. But rather than say that, I'm going to say to everyone, we should hide amongst the trees in case that creature comes back for us.
Okay, yeah. Stop and sort of get some camouflage over the. Yeah,
further into the into that jungly looking area, maybe near that temple, because there might be supplies in there. Some powerful weapon we can use. Some of the snake priestesses.
All right, I would say at this stage
behind the dune.
Yeah. So basically, you're in a somewhat thick forested area. There are things like clearings and kind of natural trails that kind of lead through the area, but overall, it is definitely a slower terrain than the than the area around you. Back in the desert. As such, although you can proceed inside the vehicle, it's basically not going to be much quicker than going on foot. And also, you risk potentially doing some more damage to the vehicle on the way.
How? Maybe I'm just not seeing. So when I see this light green stuff, I assumed it was just like green, just grass or something. Is it?
No, so I'm gonna. Slightly fudging the map or whatever, but basically the kind of lighter green areas that you're in at the moment, those are basically kind of light-ish forest. So they're impeding your progress somewhat, unless you want to just charge through and risk damaging the vehicle more. The darker green areas up to the north, those are basically jungle, where it's going to be difficult or impossible to bring the vehicle through.
Okay, well, as long as we can hide it, that's the... that was my concern. Really. As long as
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
that's not my concern. Sorry, my concern was making sure that we have somewhere where there's botanical resources. And I think if we're in a light forest, I'm sure I can find something.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you're definitely in a forest. There's enough that you could basically hide the vehicle, well enough, and you are surrounded by plants and presumably nature of various sorts.
Okay. So yeah, I think this is a good place to hide out for a while, guys.
I've never seen Fan so interested in strategy and ancient ruins.
I think we should camouflage our vehicle in case it comes back. I will go out and help find some materials to camouflage it.
Do you need a hand? Hauling back some of those, big branches and things?
Yes, come with me. You can help me carry all the materials that we'll need.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to say you're able to camouflage your vehicle easily enough, and I presume you can find some streams with kind of fresh water and some berries and kind of basic food like that.
I'm not looking for any of that. I'm just looking for drugs. Well,
yeah, I figured that might be the case. So
sorry.
Yes, so basically. Let's see. So you and it sounds like Nye are wanting to be heading out a bit further into the forest and kind of away from the others. Is anyone else joining them?
No, I'll actually go get back some actual food, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I'll do some actual scavenging.
All right. So Zion is on kind of food gathering duty. Varix, what are you going to be up to?
Yeah, I'll stretch my legs a little.
Okay, cool. But are you kind of staying around the vicinity of the vehicle, or are you going to...
Yeah, I just sort of sniff out the place.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I guess that is...
Oh, actually, that reminds me. Yeah, so I kind of know what the drug type things smell like, right? So I'll try and see if I can find something that would be appreciated, so as a little gift, and then I arrange it like a bouquet of flowers.
Okay, I think since you're just in the forest at the moment, I think if you're going to stop here and search, what I'm going to say is Fayan can make a intellect roll to find drugs, which I think he is specialized in.
No, I'm specialised in alchemy, but finding drugs I only trained in.
I think this is going to count as finding rather than alchemy.
Yeah.
But
that's botanical, but finding.
Yeah, I'm going to say at this point it's difficulty 5, but I think Barracks, because you have your senses and stuff and you can sniff this stuff out, basically if you help him out, I'm going to reduce that to a 4.
Saunds good.
Okay. And point of effort in, because it's free, because I am very vigorously searching for drugs, sampling all the local flowers and stuff. Say, these looks like some good trees here, and I'm sure these vines could be strong. Let me investigate the area a bit more carefully. I know I'm not being subtle, but I don't think I ever would be. Let's go.
Nice. All right, you are able to. Let's see. Okay, what I'm going to say is, you sometimes feel that drugs themselves are, in some sense, a kind of entity that they find your way into your life. They stay for a while, they dally, you have some fun times, and then they leave for a while. And you you get the impression that drugs are slightly almost being a little bit playful with you when you search around and things seem somewhat barren and just a bunch of twigs and random leaves and stuff to start with. But then you find, let's say it's something like a large, a very large kind of frilly kind of palm leaf or something like that. You lift that up, and in the damp shade beneath it, you find a large crop of very fat and juicy looking and very colorful mushrooms.
Ooh.
Okay. I walk in and basically say, oh, great, that leaf, that looks like the sort of thing we should be using.
Yes. Yes.
Just because I'm not looking at the ground, I step on the mushrooms.
No, careful. You'll anger these creatures that are nearby. Allow me to clear the area first. Yeah, I'm sure.
Sorry.
So there's
Okay,
a
sorry. I'm so irresponsible today.
so there's a big footprint of mashed up mushrooms in the center of these. But, there is at least several big handfuls of them remaining kind of roughly intact.
I'll be honest. I am now out of drugs, and I think I'm probably coming down off my initial high. And oh my god, that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I'm going to be desperate enough at this point to even gather the squashed up mushrooms.
All right, so
Turn them into something later. Probably not good quality drugs, but
yes,
yeah.
I'll say that's 10 doses plus 2 for scooping up the other ones as well.
Okay. Nice.
Sorry,
That'll,
I couldn't resist.
No, it's fine. Obviously, Faye just looks mortified at the mess, and as you say, just picks it up anyway.
Nice. You're able to find a few, not as they don't seem as potent, but you're able to find a few kind of berries and roots and things that serve as like minor kind of uppers and downers and things to, get you by in those little moments where, well, you're bored. All right, so you're successfully able to replenish your stash somewhat with that. Does anyone have? I guess there's probably not really any particularly distinguishing features in this area, unless anyone has anything that they particularly want to do. Again, if you haven't done it yet, this is probably a good time to take any rests if you have them available.
Okay. Yeah, I should probably take.
I'd say you can take up to an hour's rest.
It's plus your tier, isn't it? So it's for that's right.
I think
okay.
so. It should take it automatically into account.
Okay. Well, I'll do the one action. Ooh, 9. And I'll do the second one as well.
Cool.
14 points. 10.
Actually, yeah, I'll do another one. Whatever.
Yeah. There we go.
Sweetness.
Wait, no, that's not right. What did I just do? Okay. Something's not right. I seem to have reduced my speed to 12. I'm sure it was much higher than that. Oh no, I should have done 16. There we go.
Nice.
Right, that's my poor brain rested.
All right, let me see. Okay, so other than resting, unless there's anything specific that you want to be doing in this area, I'm assuming that you're going to kind of move your way on towards the temple.
Yep. Snake priestess.
Yep. I did promise it, so I'll try to keep within the theme of my story.
All right. And are you just kind of leaving the vehicle here where it's camouflaged? Are you going to try and take it deeper in at the risk of potentially damaging it?
We'll need to get somewhere else. Jugs will only last so long. I don't know. I mean, we need to work on repairs. What does Stason think? Is he happy with the...
I'd say Stason would be happy to stay with the vehicle and guard it and properly, fix it up as much as he can after the ruckus that you've been through.
Yeah.
We still have that floaty platform thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it can carry
And it can like
6 of us.
2,500 pounds or something like that. So it's like
Nice.
really quite a lot. Like
So if
Yeah.
we lose a vehicle, we could always fly off on our floating board thing.
exactly, yeah.
How fast can it go?
It's not too fast, like walking speed or something.
Oh, okay. If it's walking.
Okay, it might be useful to put loot on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's see. So it sounds like you're probably going to be leaving the vehicle where it is. It looks like it's something like a 10-kilometer trek through the jungle to get to the ruins that you saw before. Let's see. So I assume at this point you're all happy to kind of set out on that trek?
Yeah.
I think
I'm grumpy about it. Well, sure.
perfectly happy.
Cool. Okay, so basically the overall landscape, leading up to this place is uphill. In this kind of foresty area where you are, it's not too bad. But as you get to, I guess, why it's an as you get to roughly kind of this area and further, it's going to be starting to get significantly.
There's some background noise there.
Yeah, Rasmus, you're banging some stuff. So yeah, once you get to around there, it starts to become not quite a mountain, but certainly a steeper slope upwards, and also the foliage becomes much thicker as you kind of enter the jungle, basically. So I'm going to say, let's see, let me just get you all see if I can find a token to use just for your kind of group as you're moving outside the vehicle. For no particular reason, I'm going to use one that looks like Varix, because that's the first one that I found.
Nice.
Cool. All right. So that just represents, all of you who are kind of traveling together. So I assume you take a basically pretty direct route, so you can certainly move up that far. Let's say. Sorry, there's still some Rasmus. There's still some stuff banging in your mic.
Rasmus is not here, right? So he might have accidentally left his mic on while he's cooking or something.
Oh, no, he's on his tablet,
Oh.
I think.
I hear you. I see.
Oh yeah. Oh, actually, we can just mute him.
Yeah.
But if he's
No one wants to
here,
hear you. Wah.
is he?
We'll just leave a wee message saying. Tell
Oh, he's
us that you-
typing.
All right.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, you get basically to I guess essentially the kind of tree line of the more jungly, built-up and sloping area uphill. It is. Let's see. I'm going to say by this point, basically night has fallen, or at least it's kind of late dusk. The dim sunlight is kind of glimmering over the let's see, sets in the west, over to the kind of mountain ranges off to your west. There's just a dim red glow above the horizon, but other than that, the big whistling, whirring mass of the jungle ahead of you is largely almost pitch black. You do have your glow globes and stuff. I'm actually going to have anybody roll a d20 just to see if your glow globes are actually in order at the moment, because I don't really want that you just constantly have access to light. I'm going to take the first one, which is a 16, so you do have the glow globes. However, their light seems to be very easily kind of swallowed up by this darkness, so the range of their illumination is quite low.
What the hell is that?
What?
On the map. Wait, was that not you who just put that down? The snake thing with a giant.
Oh, that's us.
Oh,
Yeah, it's,
oh, jeez. Okay.
Way to look at your teammates, man. That's Barrett.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
Like, way to be hurtful, man.
Sorry, I just didn't know you carried a giant sword around, and
That's snake prejudice.
That's my arm.
No, that's yeah.
Also, you should not be judging people for giant sword things.
I am very sorry. I didn't mean to judge you.
All right.
My sincerest apologies. Here, have some drugs.
So you oh yeah, I guess this is just like a squishy mushroom that you've been handed.
I'll give him one of the good ones because I feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that bad with the
You've carved a little snake into it, smiley snake face into it with your finger. All right, so you find yourselves basically at the kind of looming black tree line of this dark jungle as you head into the nighttime. You do have some limited light from your glow globes. Are you going to take any particular action or formation or anything like that as you venture into this place? You can hear certainly a great deal of insect life. and kind of birds. The racket of them is very raucous and disturbing. There's a pretty stiff breeze, so the canopy and the leaves are, swishing and swishing of their own. So all in all, if there was anything bigger or, any people or anything like that in there, it would be rather difficult to perceive them.
Right.
I would like to take point. Just sort of move like a little bit ahead of the group. Making sure that we don't run into any big animals or traps or.
I've just realised that's actually a top-down view of your head. I thought it was a front-on, and I thought the top of your head was actually the front of your head. Okay, that's a lot less terrifying now. I thought you had.
Are you actually using the drugs in real life?
No, I just didn't zoom in. Yeah.
All right. So
if this terrain is quite steep, I'll be quite happy. I'll be like crawling forward.
It's definitely steep enough that you can go a lot faster if you use your hands and your feet to kind of crawl/climb upwards. And I assume your ropes and your swords are going to be very useful for kind of hooking on to trees that are further up ahead and just kind of winching yourself up and helping the others up as well. So let's say that. It's maybe a little bit more difficult for Varix, just because as you get into the jungle, the trees and the foliage and stuff are very tightly knit and packed, and he is a rather big guy. But on the other hand, you're able to kind of snake and weave your way through the trees and things, and with the smaller ones, just basically push them down to get through here. Okay, so let's see. I would say I kind of would assume, since this is a strange place, it's a jungle, it's evidently occupied by wildlife in general, and you don't know what else. I'm kind of gonna assume that you're trying to be somewhat stealthy and kind of remain at least not too detectable as you go through the jungle. So let's say I don't know. Let's say Varix, Zion, and Nye, just to pick three basically at random. If you give me a speed check, level, let's say level 3, to basically, your pathfinding Nye would definitely apply, but anything else like kind of fieldcraft or survival, wilderness, anything like that to basically...
have a skill in tracking and survival. Should be alright.
I'm not. I ain't about it life. Science a city boy. He's out of his element here. I still succeed by dumb luck.
Nye, maybe she, she's used to swinging around with her swords and stuff in, rocky type contexts where things are kind of solid and be relied upon. But let's say you haven't really moved too much in environments like this, and you actually swing your
distracted by these novel tree things.
Yeah, exactly. They look a lot of fun to climb on. In fact, I could imagine she'd probably get quite kind of excited about these and be quite up for swinging her way up into the kind of canopy and trying to do the Tarzan thing as much as possible. But what she doesn't take into account is the fact that trees and vines and things are not rocks, and they can break and bend and things like that. So let's say that as you see a particularly fun-looking, little kind of mini canyon type thing ahead of you, you swing your swords up onto an overhanging branch and think that you have a solid hold and swing out over it. But in fact, the maybe the blade slips or the branch breaks or something like that, and you end up just finding yourself in free fall as you fly towards the opposite, little mini cliff wall and basically bash into it. I'm going to say you take 2 damage, or if you have enough armor, then that will cancel that out.
I have 1 armor, so 1 damage.
1 damage then. Okay.
Supposed to roll for that. Sorry.
No, just the 3 people I've selected. Just
okay, that's fine.
To have because the trouble with making everyone roll is it kind of makes it almost inevitable that someone will fail, and that's not always not always kind of right for the kind of role that I'm doing.
It's kind of tricky in RPGs. I always find it's a tricky thing to get right.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, there's just always an invitation for something to go wrong, and then you fall into a thing where you just like you have to make up something to go wrong, and just like you just like fall over or something. It's just like you don't really have adventuring stories where somebody's trying to like go up some stairs and then just like oh fuck, I'm just falling down all these stairs like a damn idiot. Whoops. Anyway, back to the adventure. Anyway, random little GM derail aside. What does happen, however, is that because of this, you don't seriously injure yourself, but you basically land kind of scrabbling against these rocks. Some of them kind of dislodge around you, and you end up, scrabbling down into the bottom of this little kind of mini ravine or anything. Getting out isn't really a problem. However, in the strange acoustics of this nighttime jungle, despite the seemingly deafening kind of roar of the insects and just general plant life and winds and things around you, despite all that, the knocks and cracks of these kind of rocks falling down this canyon actually kind of rings out rather loudly, kind of throughout the jungle. It almost seems to kind of resonate back and forth, kind of between the trees and among the valley walls that you're in between. So that happens. Everyone else is otherwise able to basically get along and cross pretty uneventfully. However, as let's say you kind of move a bit closer to this temple-y ruins type area, as you approach closer to the place, so you're within kind of a kilometer or two of it, but bear in mind this is a very large structure. It's probably, think. No, a kilometer is definitely way too high, but it's probably at least a couple hundred. The ruins are probably at least a couple hundred meters high and several hundred meters across. So it's a pretty large area, and as you approach through the jungle and so forth, what you find is that at certain moments, as you so the jungle itself around you and the trees and things are almost completely dark because they're overshadowed by the canopy from whatever minimal light is coming from above. But because it is that kind of mix of cloudy and overcast, but with a bright full moon, when you look up into the kind of the sky and look past the canopy, you're able to see the sky as being somewhat lit up. So you at least have silhouettes to enable you to navigate by somewhat. However, what you notice as you traverse through the jungle towards this ruin is basically actually, let's see. Let's have everyone, I guess, do a perception roll. And if you have anything related to like wildcraft, I think tracking would definitely help. Anything like that, then you can use that training.
Unless it's drugs, I don't think I do. What's the difficulty, sorry?
Let's say this is going to be difficulty 4, I think.
And is it an intellectual? Can you spend effort on something like perception? I mean, if you're not actually looking for it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think this kind of represents like you being, making the effort to be especially alert and maybe even, slightly paranoid or something like that.
I take it this is an intellect rule.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Pathfinding, would that?
Yep.
No.
Actually, no, I don't think pathfinding would quite cover this.
Okay.
So you guys got this on lockdown.
All right. So you all of you, in fact, before too long. In fact, let's say, some of you are catching glimpses out of the corners of your eyes as you kind of look up at the canopy, silhouetted against the lighter sky, and you almost feel like among the leaves and branches you see movement. At first, you might pass it off as just the leaves and branches kind of moving within each other, but you start to swear that you can see little kind of figures crouched up among the leaves and canopies at first, and then maybe the more observant of you may have noticed this while some didn't, but then in the gloomy, overcast, and rather humid and overbearing sky, there is a sudden crack of lightning that seems to land rather nearby and basically lights up for a moment the entire area. And as you look up, into the trees around you, you see that you are in fact surrounded by probably at least 50 somewhat frail, kind of smooth-skinned, well, creatures probably isn't the right term, but they're certainly at least abhumans, if not even perhaps visitants or something else. They are very roughly humanoid, but they have, let's see, they have a kind of smooth and almost rather kind of ghost-like appearance, almost like they're kind of wearing sheets over themselves or kind of ponchos or something like that, that are this kind of sheeming, shimmering, translucent kind of white color. And all of these figures are basically perched up in the leaves and stuff of the trees around you, looking down directly at you. None of them are making any immediate movements, basically.
Well,
who is going to
and also, sorry, just another quick note. The sight of all of them only lasts for as long as the lightning flash. Once that goes, you're once again, from what you can see, just surrounded by the blackness of these trees, although presumably they are still up there.
Can I smell them at all?
Let's see. Yeah, I'd say you can actually give me a roll. I guess this would be intellect, but it's only going to be level 3, I think, to see if you can scent out anything about them. Nice. So there's certainly a lot of strong smells in this jungle, just of the general kind of huge mass of kind of plant life and insects and all of that. As well as the surprisingly refreshing air of a recent rain on the leaves. But as you kind of flick out your tongue and as you dart your eyes around at these things and try and get the lay of them, basically they're somewhat unusual. They certainly don't smell like normal animals do. They don't have that kind of irony, kind of slightly blood-like kind of smell. They actually smell, if anything, let's see. They kind of smell almost, I mean, the smell actually that they remind you of the most is actually something like jellyfish that you may have had occasion to sample, or it's not quite so much the oceanic nature of it, but it's the kind of somewhat alien tissue and somewhat kind of gelatinous, kind of slimy, liquidy kind of nature of them, as opposed to the harder kind of hair and muscle and bone that you would normally associate with kind of creatures. Possibly. Zion,
right.
would you perhaps like to make a check to see if these are aliens?
Let's do it. So would you like me to do the...
I think the way I'm going to do this is... right, so I'm going to say, as a basic level, determining whether they are or not. I'm going to say this is a tree because they certainly look pretty weird, or they still potentially could be something else, like just mutants or abhumans or whatever. However, let me see. Yeah, I think basically if you fail the roll, then I think what I'm going to say is I'm going to give you an answer on whether they are or not, but that will basically be based on a coin flip, whether that answer is correct or not. So you don't, if you fail, then you won't know whether the answer is correct.
Gotcha. Yep. That's good. All right. There we go.
Oh, but just to be just to be clear, your character has to act according to the answer that I give.
Yeah. All right. Gotcha.
In this case, you succeed anyway, and you are. Let's see. You see these guys, and suddenly all these memories dredge up out of your memory shard, relating to things like this, and trying to figure out if they are or are not aliens. As far as you can tell, these are in fact not, because there are certain similarities to, basically, they don't seem to be disguising themselves. And in undisguised aliens, there are certain features and things that are basically, as far as you can tell, common only to actually human-derived creatures, or as it were, subspecies. So, as basically, long story short, as near as you can tell, these things are abhumans rather than visitants.
Carl goes back to sleep.
All right, so these things are up in the darkness in the trees around you. They don't make any immediate communication or anything like that towards you, and you now can't directly kind of see where they are really, unless you take some means to look more closely. So, with that said, how do you react?
Well,
So I see them, right? Do they seem threatening, or do they? Just...
Yeah, so certainly everyone, I think everyone succeeded that roll anyway. So in the flash of lightning, all of you did see that they were perched up around you in the lights. And I guess anyone who is more perceptive will probably be able to see, just from their silhouettes and maybe the subtle sounds of them moving, that they are indeed still up there. But you don't really have a clear view of them anymore as such.
Were they blocking our path, or just watching us as we travelled?
Yeah, more watching, because they were none of them were on ground level. They're all up in the in the branches and the kind of tree level.
Okay, I'll huddle a bit closer to the rest of the group as we carry on. Start whispering, saying, "What are we gonna do, guys? They're not attacking us."
I'm sure they're friends.
They sound friendly.
I think I'm going to say something to them if no one has any.
Yeah,
can you speak their language?
I'm just going to speak common, or the truth, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I basically hold up my hands and say, "Okay, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by acting like we didn't see you. We're not aggressors."
Fair enough. Okay, so do you or any of the other of the group add anything to that? All right. It sounds like
I turn my hands up, sort of like not up, but like my palms sort of outwards to indicate that I'm peaceful also. Because I made
one of them. I'm sorry, that was me.
All right, so you you make this friendly kind of declaration up into the shadows of the trees. Let's say at this point it is starting to rain, and more than anything else, you can hear the clatter and kind of great rush of water that comes from being in the middle of a jungle that is just pouring with water from every conceivable kind of surface as the rain comes down. You hear as well a kind of rustling and a kind of rushing and sounds of movement and things in the trees above you. But no other immediate responses immediately. However, after a few moments, there is another flash of light as another fairly nearby lightning bolt goes off. And you are able to see in that brief moment that all of the ones that you saw up on the trees earlier on and are gone from there. And in fact, most of them are, well, either they're gone or at least you're not able to see them. However, there are... there's two of them who are now on the ground floor in front of you. As you get another look at them, you're able to see that they appear rather weird. I don't have a picture to hand, but basically they're roughly humanoid, but they are tall, kind of very pale-skinned, and in fact it's somewhat translucent, almost kind of, I guess, soapy-looking skin, basically. They have rather, or very kind of long, drawn-out kind of limbs and, just like a very tall and skinny kind of body type, basically. Most unusual is their heads and faces, where they have very kind of rather... almost scrawny, basically, and long necks and rather large heads, and basically kind of, I guess, in place of kind of hair and facial hair to an extent. They have these rather neatly, apparently kind of groomed, maybe even cut, kind of ranks of I wouldn't quite say tendrils, but kind of frills, I guess you might say. Kind of frills of wavy tissue that kind of cover down the back of the head and over their neck. And in particular form these thick kind of, I guess, like a fringe or kind of bangs in front of their face. It's rather hard to make out the details of their face, but it seems, although broadly human-like, it seems kind of disconcertingly kind of flat and kind of triangular. Like, it doesn't really seem quite human in shape, and it's difficult to see their facial features. In addition, so the two of those are basically standing on the flanks of a different type of creature who, let's see. Let me quickly find something. Okay, oh yeah, I like this. Okay, so what this other individual looks like, more or less, is like... Let's wait for it to upload. You might have to zoom a bit. They look something like this, except instead of like wearing leggings, like basically their legs are also kind of covered in like vines and plants and flowers and stuff. They walk with a rather unwieldy gait. It's unclear, and indeed, if anything, it seems unlikely that there is a strictly humanoid form under there, but it does have like two legs, basically. It looks not completely unlike Bob, but at the same time, it doesn't actually seem to be the same exact type of being as Bob was.
What did you say about the leggings? Sorry?
So, in this picture, this person is like wearing these kind of colorful leggings, but this one is actually, their legs are just kind of covered in the same kind of stuff as their torso is, and this kind of plants and things.
So they look very botanical.
Yes, very much.
I'm going to be trying very hard not to stare too much with eager-looking eyes.
I mean, I guess it looks, at least the top half and basically the bottom half looks like the top half in the picture. So, these very large, flat, kind of luscious kind of flowers and leaves and things, which certainly if you just encountered them in a bush or something, you would probably be poking and prodding at them.
I'm very glad I didn't end up taking one of these earlier instead. Is that a cage I can see underneath it? Or does it not look like...
Yeah, this creature doesn't have like a cage.
Okay.
It looks, this is a kind of somewhat abstract representation of it. But and in any case, this thing is being flanked by two of the kind of taller, kind of paler creatures. And they simply regard you for a long time. Now that the lightning is gone again, you can, you can only basically guess that they're still stood there in front of you. But when one more flash comes, you see that it's just in time to see them turning away from you and basically towards the large ruin or temple that is in the background, and basically just walking forwards and off into the undergrowth with, although it's somewhat difficult to read or tell, you get the impression that they're basically inviting you to follow rather than, turning their backs and leaving.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm completely fine with this. Yeah, let's follow, guys. They obviously want us to follow.
Yeah, sure, why not? Maybe they have...
Try and stab me.
I see no way this will go wrong.
I mean, they could have attacked us before, right? So they didn't. I'm sure.
Maybe they want to sacrifice us or something.
I mean, one thing I would note is the at least the somewhat soapy-looking pale people, although they are somewhat tall, they're taller than most humans. Let's say they're less tall than Varrics, but in particular they have a rather, very skinny. Yeah, a very skinny and thin, slender build. It doesn't necessarily look weak. You get the feeling they might have strength kind of beyond what their size suggests, but at the same time, they don't exactly look like very obvious threats, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So as you all retreat after these things into the crackling depths of the jungle and head under the gloaming sky towards the great ruin of this temple ahead of you, we end the session and we'll see next week exactly what awaits you there.
Hey.
I hope it's candy.
Out come a little devil, a dragging a chain. She picked up a hatchet and split out his brains, saying, "Fi, diddle-I, diddle-I, fi, diddle-I, diddle-I, day."